Oh, man. Guys, it's a one-man show tonight. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the GRIDLIFE Drivers Meeting, Episode 2. And I'm all by my lonesome. I think Creature's coming back here. I'm all by myself, so bear with me here as I figure out how to hit all the buttons that I need to hit. All right, we're getting comfortable. We got a slightly different camera setup here. Not the tripod that we wanted to use, but we're going to get that all sorted. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm going to be reading chat on my laptop here because the TV's a little far away. Are we loud and clear? Are we on the internet? I think so. I think we're on the internet. Boy. I think I'm on the right mic. Do I not sound like I'm on the right mic? It should be. Well, again, we're testing and tuning. This should be this should be the good one. I have 2 mics set up. I have another one over there. But maybe does it sound terrible? I'm on the right one. Oh, thanks, Dare to Dream Motorsports. So how's everyone doing tonight? We got 2 great guests coming on, joining us in a little bit. It's going to be AJ Hartman from GRIDLIFE GT, from AJ Hartman Aero. And sounds like an echo. How about an echo? It shouldn't be echoing. No echoes. How's a stereo? How is that? Here, let's figure this out together. We're going to go to my mix. Oh, I know why. Here, there we go. Let's mute that. That probably solved it. I had the other mic wide open. That probably solved it. Echo, echo. Evan McLaren's in the house. Got the stadium echo. Yeah, fix it, boys. How are we doing? I'm a real professional, right? Yeah, the second mic didn't need to be on. It's just over there in case Creature shows up and wants to talk. Fan next to the mic. There is a fan next to the mic. Did that fix the echo? This is what we're all about here. We're a real professional. It should have. I saw it open. Oh no, it's open back. Wow. There we go. Why did it open back up? It's so weird. Let me just pull this fader down. We'll go from there. Okay, maybe. Oh, I know why. Because I'm on a touch screen, or one of the touch pads, and when I went to go away out of the window, it relit. So that should solve that. Anyway, I'm a real professional streamer, guys. How's it going? We've got 2 good guests on that. Like I said, AJ Hartman from AJ Hartman Aero. I wanted to bring him on because he's been one of the drivers up at the front. Still echoing? No way. No, come on. You guys are messing with me. Really? Oh, you know what? Hold on, boys. We didn't have this problem last week, and there's only one thing I did that was different. Okay. Let's see. Fan and echo. Oh, I know what it is, guys. Oh, that's okay. That'll do it. That's so dumb. All right, you guys are gonna laugh. So I said we have got this new camera system. We're using like a full-bodied camera, and I'm capturing it with a capture card that I've never used the audio on it before, and apparently it works. I just discovered that just now, and that's where the background noise is coming from. So now it should be fine. Thanks for helping me out in real time figure that out. There we go. So now we put a lot of money into this nice audio. It should sound good, guys. And then I can turn my monitoring back on because I thought that was causing a problem. It was not. And I lost my music, and I don't want to lose my music. So we're just, we're going to get to racing stuff in a real short amount of time. And it's going to be great. So let's turn this back to 5, 6. Yep. And oh, beautiful. Okay. Okay, look, guys, we're so good at this. All right, anyway, AJ Hartman. I'm bringing him on because he's a front runner in GRIDLIFE GT. I didn't really know a lot about him before he joined GRIDLIFE. He's been right up in the mix. and he was on the Heat Exchanger podcast. I think he was on Heat Exchanger. Yeah, a couple of months ago. And I have been kind of going through all the Heat Exchanger podcasts and listened to AJ's, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating. So I want to talk to AJ. He's already waiting in Zoom about where he comes from, what his background is, why GLGT, why now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Mike Bryant about his upcoming trip to Road America, because I don't think AJ's running Road America from the entry list I've seen. And when we talk to Mike, we're going to talk about the changes that he's made from last year to this year, and also what his background is. So, yeah, Dewey saying AJ rocks. He really does, from what I heard on the podcast with you guys. So because he's waiting, you know, we can talk more about Road America and point standings and things of the sort, but because AJ's already in here waiting, I think it would be silly not to bring him in a little early. So let us pull in Mr. AJ Hartman. There. All right. Hey AJ, do I have you?
Hey, I got you.
Do you have a camera, AJ? Otherwise, we could just chat on audio. Otherwise.
I do. I'm on my laptop.
Oh, I don't see you yet.
Hold on.
Yeah, we'll get you sorted, because I would love to see your face and chat with you about all things AJ Hartman Aero, GLGT, all those cool things.
Let's see. I'm not the most tech savvy.
That's all right. I feel like you've got at least some background, because you're a pretty smart aerodynamicist from what I hear. I was just telling everyone on the chat that I was interested in bringing you on, not only because I didn't really know much about your background before GRIDLIFE GT, but also because you're up in the mix in GRIDLIFE GT. So I think it's worth chatting about.
Yep. Yes, sure.
So if you go down to the bottom, there should be, like, next to your little video icon, you can hit the up arrow, and then you should be able to hit a selected device. Yeah. And hopefully we can bring you in. And you're here a little early, which I appreciate. I had you on at 7:15 Central, 8:15 Eastern, but I wanted to have a couple extra minutes, and you were already here hanging out, so I figured why not?
Anything? No.
You just got to hit the toggle, because I think it's still. There you go. Now, yep, I got you now. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop on this screen. Hey, there we are. All right. Well, so you're going to not see yourself, because I'm not going to loop you back. But how's it going, AJ? I don't think we've ever really had a chance to talk at the racetrack yet. I'd like to change that. It looks like you're not headed to Road America this weekend, from what I know.
Unfortunately, I'm not. No.
Just didn't have it on the calendar. Focusing on Lime Rock. What's the story there?
Yeah, focusing on Lime Rock. Road America for me is like a 15 hour drive. It's so that's kind of pushing it. I got a 1-year-old, so that's kind of a stretch this season for me. Maybe it'll be in the cards next season.
For sure. So let's start at the very basics, because part of the whole idea behind this show is, like, I'm on the broadcast talking about drivers. There's hundreds of drivers in GRIDLIFE. I don't know everything about everyone. I don't know much about a lot of people. And you're up in the mix in our new GRIDLIFE GT series. And I know that you've got AJ Hartman Aero. You've got wings that are on some of the cars in the paddock already, notably Dewey DeWitt, who's very fond of his wing. So let's back things up a little bit. What's your background? Like, where'd you come from, and how'd you get into motorsports in the first place?
Probably goes back early, maybe mid-2000s. I was living in New Jersey at the time. I went to school for automotive technology, which is basically learning to be a mechanic. And I was doing body work at the time. And in 2008, they opened New Jersey Motorsports Park. I thought it would be kind of cool, so I figured out to sign up for a track day. All you really needed was a helmet. Sign up for a track day, and that was about it. I was kind of hooked. Probably around 2011 is when I started working for myself. Again, I was Master Tech certified in ASD, collision repair, all that stuff. And I was about an hour away from New Jersey Motorsports Park. So anytime people would have an issue with their car, they would just kind of drop it off on their way home from the racetrack. So it kind of worked out. Fast forward a few years, 2013, 14, again, the body work stuff. I was familiar with fiberglass and started making some fiberglass stuff. And then figured, if I could do fiberglass, why not teach myself carbon fiber? So I started making some carbon fiber parts, aerodynamics, especially back then, there weren't many options for, I would say, very performance oriented parts. Things are different nowadays. um, but yeah, just kind of started making some parts. Got my competition license in 2010, started racing with NASA in their American Iron class. Raced with them pretty much till last year, I would say. And then when GLGT was announced, let me backtrack just a tiny bit.
Sure.
My car was set up for NASA American Iron, but that class kind of like fizzled out. So I would say like ST2 or 3, but in my region, I moved to Virginia. I'm now about 30 minutes from VIR, which is nice. But that class kind of wasn't really getting much turnout. So I was kind of in one of those, not sure what to do with that car and racing and everything. And then as soon as GRIDLIFE announced GLGT, the power to weight ratio, the tires rules, I was excited about it. I was all in. And that kind of brings us to today.
Yeah, certainly. And I remember you talking about how, people would drop off their cars at your shop to fix things, or at your house to fix things up. And I was just in your neck of the woods. You still in Virginia? Because I was just there like 2 days ago.
Yeah. I'm in South Boston, Virginia. So
nice.
About 30 minutes east of VIR.
Awesome. So GRIDLIFE GT, let's talk a little bit about that, because it's a new class for us, obviously still building entries and building interest in it as we go on. And it was announced, sort of late for a lot of the programs with, homologated cars that you see in other paddocks. But one of the cool things about it is that you can really build to the class. And I think your car is a great example of what the category can be if you build a car from scratch. So the aero rules in GLGT are quite a bit more than we see in the iBlack GLTC series. I imagine that, given that you have a company that builds aero parts, this is an interesting category because you can explore the aero a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a nice box to play in. Believe it or not, I was actually thinking about turning that car into a GLTC car. Obviously, I would have had to go on much smaller on the aero, detune it and everything. But yeah, GLGT, I really didn't have to make too many changes. I'm actually running the same splitter that I ran in American Iron years and years ago. I plan to make something a little bit better, but for now it's kind of working.
So I think in GRIDLIFE and really in a lot of amateur grassroots racing in general, there's a lot of drivers that are also builders or also mechanics, and they wrench on their own stuff. It's probably rarer in these paddocks to find someone that just shows up and drives. But I would think that when it comes to things like aero or engines or transmissions or anything like that, it's even more rare to find someone that will build their own components from scratch. Maybe splitters, but wings are complicated, and there's math and science and all this black magic that I don't think normal people like me don't necessarily understand. So when you're racing on the track and you're doing track days and you're competing, how do you what's the split in your brain between driver and an engineer? How much data are you looking at to inform your decisions on what you're building next? Because it just seems like some people would just love to focus on driving and don't care about the car, and some really care about playing with the car as a sandbox. But you seem like one of those types that is somewhere down the middle.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably right about 50-50. I'll look at my data after almost every session, even if I don't go faster. You can always look at deltas and kind of see if you were quicker in one particular part. If you make a change to the car, overlaying your data, see if you're quicker somewhere else. So, the data side is definitely cool. The driving side is fun and everything. But again, yeah, working on the car, I kind of enjoy that just as much. And to kind of backtrack a little bit, the guy that designed our wings and a bunch of other stuff that we make, Kyle Forster, a lot of people might recognize that name, but he was a Mercedes F1 aerodynamicist that started his own aero consulting company. So he kind of did a lot of our CFD and stuff like that. So even though I don't get into CFD myself, we kind of went to somebody who definitely knew, what they were doing to make sure, the wings we were producing really perform as well.
Yeah, and from the Heat Exchanger podcast, and there was so much information in it. It was so fascinating to me, especially with a guy like Dewey, who we had on last week, who's so
Yeah,
passionate.
that was a fun one.
It was a lot of fun. One of the things that was interesting was when you were talking about, measuring the benefit of a performance part like a wing or a splitter. The all the conditions for which individual companies like report data is different, right? So some might claim at 150, some might claim at 100, some might claim at whatever, right? So how how do you go about designing and selling and parts and try to, you mentioned, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. You mentioned that you're sort of not really interested in the drama of it, which I can absolutely appreciate. But at some point, you got to be like, yeah, this is better, or this isn't better, or that you need this for this application. How do you go about advertising it at a specific speed, application setting? It's complicated.
Yeah, it's tricky because, again, like you said, there's no standard of how to measure or like what values you want to put out there. Like you said, the big variable, you'll see people post numbers, but the mile an hour is all over the map. I kind of landed on 100 miles an hour if I post a number or something. It's definitely tricky. Now, a lot of our stuff, we've been to a full scale wind tunnel, and we'll get data on our parts that way. Because it's kind of hard to argue with that. You can't, I'll say you can't really get much closer to real world. Now, there are wind tunnels that do have, rolling road, rolling tires, stuff like that. Might be that touch more accurate, I'll call it. But yeah, trying to validate performance of parts, I'll say aerodynamic parts is always tricky. Engine stuff, it's like you throw it on a dyno, but even that, there's different dynos, there's different temperatures, there's different everything. Aerodynamics, even more complicated with the amount of variables you could have in certain things. So yeah, like I said, we kind of have our CFD that was done by a top level guy. We have our wind tunnel data. I'm out there racing as well. We just kind of put our stuff out there. If you like it, cool. If you want to see like some specific number, that's fine too. But yeah, it's a tricky industry for sure.
In the grassroots racing world, it feels like aero is sort of the most unexplored black box, right? When you look at pro racing, or whether it's IMSA or SRO or what have you, like GT3, GT4 stuff, and even beyond that, aero seems to be like where you make a lot of gains. And when you see the parts that are on a GT3 car, for example, like they're pretty wild, and there's a ton of engineering, but there's also a ton of setup involved in it. So how much information is there out there for people to, like, when they get their wing and bolt it on their Honda Civic or what have you, how do they set it up? Like, what are the resources? Where do you go to like learn how to do that? Or is that just a trials, tribulations, and a hunch to get sort of in the window?
Yeah, if you're putting aero on your car because you want to be at the pointy end of the field, you should probably go with a company that will kind of help you out, has a bunch of data. And we can obviously do that. Again, going back to our wind tunnel, I've been in the wind tunnel with probably close to 24 cars now. So, you can kind of say, hey, I got this car. This is on the front. We're looking at a wing. Here's the rolls. And I can kind of almost spec something out for you. And then, of course, you can tune from there with, obviously wing angle and changing a few other things. If you just kind of want like a wing because you think it looks cool but could care less, just pick something and go with it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating thing, and seeing your car as well. It's a really interesting car. When we were first looking at, what we're going to see for GRIDLIFE GT, we thought it would look one way, and it's kind of looked a little different way, and I think it's going to look different a year from now. But your car was already sort of existed as it was. Tell us more about what's in the innards of it, because I think it's kind of interesting how it's stitched together, from what I understand.
Yeah, the amount of people that come up to me at an event asking what is in it, because it doesn't sound like a normal Mustang. I swapped a 3.5 liter EcoBoost out of a 2014 F-150 in it. So that's the V6 twin turbo. So I stuffed that in back in 2016. I think I did that swap. During COVID, when everybody was locked down, I got the entire rear subframe assembly out of a 2017 Mustang. So the chassis is a 99 Mustang. The engine is the 3.5 EcoBoost. The whole rear subframe is a 2017 Mustang. The transmission is an MT82 out of a 2011 V6 Mustang. Custom drive shaft. The front end stuff is Maximum Motorsport Stoll McPherson strut. So nothing too crazy there. I mean, that's really about it. So it's, non-ABS. What's the other one? Manually shifted, because all the other guys at the front around me just get to, hit the little paddles and shift gears,
So,
which I'm kind of jealous of. But it's a little bit of a extra challenge, I'll call it.
so the 3.5 liter V6 that's in that you have in it, it's out of a truck, right? But
yes,
isn't that the same? I mean, obviously it's not. It's different, but isn't it the same bones of the engine that was in the Ford GT IMSA car?
Yeah. Yeah, very, very close cousin for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just interested in because that car was always so unique and it sounded so wild, and just that 3.5 liter V6. It's very similar to like how the I guess the Acura or the Honda 3.5 liter V6 whatever that is like in everything, and also the NSX GT3 car. I find it interesting to have the lineage there, but interesting. So how much obviously the aero parts, but how much CNC work do you have to do to get adapters to make things fit, or do things just bolt together somehow like Ford Legos?
The funny thing is, I only got a CNC machine in my shop about a year and a half ago. You'd be surprised what you can do with a cutoff wheel and a welder. So to get the rear subframe swapped in, it was my spare time across 2 weekends. So that was actually pretty easy. The engine, just kind of welded up some brackets to make engine mounts. Pretty easy there. Same thing with the transmission crossmember. It really was not anything crazy at all. So, and then the Ford Performance Control Pack, they kind of give you a computer with the wiring harness that plugs into the engine harness and everything. And it probably only took me about 2.5 hours to get that thing wired up and started. So it sounds like a wild build. It's different for sure, but it wasn't anything overly crazy. But nowadays, with the CNC and being able to 3D scan stuff and everything, I would say it would take me longer, but it would definitely be nicer as well. A lot of stuff in my car is just the best that I could do years ago.
Yeah. So hold on. So this is something I've been wondering. You mentioned this on Heat Exchanger too. The way the engine management computer works. You said something on that podcast about how these just exist for certain Ford engines or for many Ford engines. Is this an unexplored area of motorsport that I had just never knew about, that Ford offers this for whatever?
I would think other companies would, because Ford Racing or Ford Performance is kind of like their racing arm of Ford, I guess I'll call it.
Yep.
They make these things called control packs, and so if you want to swap the 5 liter Coyote, people swap that and everything, and you can get a control pack, which is the computer, the harness from the computer, which goes to the OEM, I'll call it the engine side harness, run some ignition wires to it. There's really not much to it, and you can, get an engine running almost in no time. Just comes with everything you need. So I don't know if that's specific or special to Ford. I would think other companies would have something similar. But yeah, the control pack made it pretty darn easy to do.
Yeah, maybe again, it's not my area of expertise by any stretch, but when I heard that, I thought that was fascinating. So very interesting. I do have some people in the chat, Hans Horpedahl and Chris DeLucia, having a bit of a laugh over the Mid-Ohio Race 4 start. I was at Mid-Ohio, couldn't see the start. What are they talking about?
So race 3, I finished 4th, and the invert was 4. So I was starting on pole. And we take the green. I'm winding out 3rd gear. I go to 4th, and it just would not go into the 4th. So by the time we made it to, I guess that's technically turn 3 down there.
Yeah.
I think I was dead last. So fought my way back through the field, back up to fourth, but yeah, I blew that one bad.
Yeah, the start that didn't happen, I suppose, is what they're giggling about.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
ran into him or something with the way that they posted that. But
No, hey, everybody cleared me, so thanks to all those guys for being heads up as well.
Yeah. Where do you see, I mean, GridLife GT, we're heading to our third round with it at Road America this weekend, and obviously there's a really cool new integration that we just announced last week with Fire Laps, where all the first 25 drivers that sign up for Road America will get a one-year Fire Lap subscription and a FireLink box for their car. So that's kind of interesting because we're going to pull that into the broadcast. We'll look at some data points. But what's your thought on the next year or so of GridLife GT as it sort of builds? What have you seen so far from a builder perspective and from a competition perspective, and what can this next year hold for us?
I think the competition has been great because we've had every single race was green, flag to flag. No contacts or anything, no major issues. People have obviously had mechanicals, but no contacts or anything, so awesome group of guys for sure. As far as the builder versus like James Houghton's route of like buying something, there's talk of more GT4 cars coming out. Who knows how the class is going to go? Regardless, I'll be out there giving it 100%. So it should be fun.
Is that fun for you though as a builder? Because obviously, like when you see cars like Houghton's Civic and the GT4s that are coming in, this is an uphill battle. I'm interested because Adam and John, they're going to be taking big stabs at the rules, I'm sure, in the off season and find parity and that sort of thing. Because the goal is to just cast a wide net and capture a bunch of cars. But I'm interested from a builder perspective. Like, is it fun to build a mousetrap that can keep up with a TCR car?
I think so. And the day that I beat Houghton, he is never going to hear the end of it. So it kind of gives me something to like push for. Because it's kind of like, if Houghton or like when Patton came out with his GT4 Supra, losing to them, it's like I don't feel too bad. But when I do get my stuff together and tweaked a little bit more, if I do beat them, that'll be a good feeling for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. The other thing, not that it doesn't look bad. I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm just curious about like the car is mostly carbon or like black looking, right? Are you planning a livery for it? Is it been like that for a while? Is that how it always is going to be? I'm just curious. Not saying it's bad how it is.
Some of the I'm looking over my shoulder right now because it's behind me. Some of the carbon on that is getting pretty old, and that was before I would clear coat stuff, so it's just kind of like a raw carbon, and it's getting a bit weathered. A livery, I don't know. If somebody's on here listening and wants to like reach out, let me know. I'm not creative enough, I guess, to come up with something. And then I feel like at the same time, it's like I'd rather be spending my time, money, and effort on something to make it faster than just look cool. I know there's kind of like a cool factor if you have like something that really stands out. But,
raw carbon New Edge
nothing.
Mustang's not bad though, so that's why I'm saying it. It's not like it's needed. I just was curious, just because it's got like this like kind of test car, test mule sort of look to it. Like I'm thinking Ford GT when they first rolled it out before they decaled it up, that kind of thing.
Okay, thanks.
Well, super, super cool. Again, we're going to be missing you at Road America here this weekend. Will we see you at Lime Rock? That should be...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yep, I'll be at Lime Rock and Pitt are the other two I have scheduled.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you, AJ. Thanks for coming out and joining us, and super, super fun to talk to you. And, again, I hope you watch the broadcast this weekend and see you in the chat there.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right, AJ Hartman. That was super, super fun, and we've got Mike Bryant already hanging out waiting for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch on over to Mike Bryant and bring him in for a chat. Falken Club TR competitor in the number 94 Mazda MX-5. All right. Hey, Mike, you got a copy?
I'm here. Can you hear
there
me?
you are. Oh, I hear you and I see you. 2 for 1. And you got cool-looking sunglasses on, too, to boot.
Aren't these sweet?
They are
Yeah,
sweet. I
these are the
like them.
GRIDLIFE. They're the GRIDLIFE shades that you guys sent out in the box.
Absolutely. Well, hey, super appreciative of having you come on. You actually volunteered yourself, and I was just coming off of a very busy weekend somewhere else, and I was like, man, I got to find guests. And right as I thought that, my phone pinged, and it's Mike Bryant. So super appreciate you coming on. I've a long time been a fan of your car because I think it's one of the prettiest NC MX-5s I've ever seen. I'm a big fan of it. And, you're going to Road America this weekend, yes?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And you've got a lot of new things going on. Oh, are you up in Wisconsin?
I'm in Minnesota,
okay.
right on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Yeah. So, as I understand, the car's got some big changes this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is I joined the K Series group, right? And if you can't beat them, join them. So, it's NC powered, K24 swapped, done by K Power Industries. So that was pretty cool. It was one of the first ones that they had actually done themselves, for a customer car. I think it might have been outside of like Speed Academy, one of the first ones. And it's been fun to have a different chassis, in the mix with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Club TR has become such a crazy class.
The class is wild. It's been a lot of fun to watch it grow. And I think I'm trying to remember. Was it 2021 that it started? Because I joined GRIDLIFE in 2020, so it's foggy for me to think back that far.
Yeah, I think it was around that time frame. Because I remember first starting to watch in 2019, and that was when I remember seeing GLTC really coming around and watching them on the YouTube streams at Mid Ohio.
Yep.
The first time through, and that was like my first kind of goal was like I'm watching Luke McGrew and Eric Meadows running their NCs in GLTC. I'm like, oh, this is something I have to do, right? And then that eventually changed when Club TR came out, and I was like, well, the NC feels perfect for that. So
yeah. All right, let's back things up a little bit. We brought you in to chat about the car and the upcoming weekend, but I want to chat about Mike Bryant, the human. Where'd you come from? What's your background? Because admittedly, what I realized when we started doing this project is like how little I actually know about everybody. And everyone's like, he always knows so much, but I don't. So what's your background? How'd you end up in motorsports? What was your first car? Let's get down all the
Sure.
basics here.
Well, honestly, compared to AJ, I'm pretty boring. Like my background starts from when I was just 3-4 years old. My dad actually raced in SCCA and then Porsche Club. He raced 944s. So we're sticking to the ugly duckling stuff, right? He's racing the ugly duckling Porsche. I'm racing the ugly duckling Miata. And I grew up going to the track, watching him there. And Road America was the first track that I ever personally drove on in his race car with him next to me, guiding me through it. And so it's kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. I ended up with an E90 335i, and my circle of friends at the time convinced me to bring it out to a local track thing. And I was, hooked there and have made poor financial decisions from that point forward.
I'd say that's most people in the motorsports world. Some quickest way to make $1 million in racing is to start with $1 billion or something. But
Right.
Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the season so far. And actually, I've got the results, my little results app thing pulled up here. But I wanted to actually go to the points specifically because Road America is a big place. And having your K-Swap now, I think, as you said, if you can't beat them, join them. I'm curious to see how that goes. Road America is a close track to you. So is it a place that you've got like a ton of experience at? You've been there a gazillion times and you're right up to speed?
I wish I could say that. It's a track that I have a love-hate relationship with because it's one of the best in the country, hands down. And it's about 5 hours away from me. But every time I go there, I have some sort of issue that happens. Actually, the best year was last year. And that was literally the K24 had been swapped in the week prior, right? So it was completely cold test weekend. We didn't know what we were going to get into. It was obviously going to be, it was a good kit. We'd had that kind of stuff worked out, but it was, throwing our hands up, not knowing what's going to happen. Base map tune, right? No alignment, didn't know, what the setup was going to look like. So that was the best weekend I've ever had there. The one before that, I popped my 2-liter engine that was in the Miata with a sweet money shift for absolutely no reason. Yeah, I wasn't even under pressure or anything.
Yep.
Just popped it, and Road America just has that effect. I think it's just a tough track, and it's hard on cars. And when you're a dummy and not driving well, it's even worse.
For sure. It definitely bites. So you're fifth in the championship standings coming into this event, 47 points, actually tied with Peter Granberg. And both of you guys have a podium so far. Yours came at Midwest, his came at Mid-Ohio. How do you feel about the competition so far this season? Because obviously, Mario Moroni's doing really well. Jeremy Bailey has started off really strong, but you're up in the mix now, top 5 in a class in a national touring series. This is going pretty well for you.
It feels really good. It's nice to see something that's not a Civic or a BRZ up on that list. Kind of like that, even though it's the same engine inside of it. The different chassis is cool. Yep. But this class, part of the reason that I love Club TR is the degree of competition that you have. I keep my eye out on SCCA and NASA programs as well, and the drivers and the lap times that go through there. And it's just a different echelon, in Club TR. Those guys are so unbelievably fast. The cars are so dialed. So you've got a really talented driver pulling 110% out of what these cars should be capable of. It's kind of baffling, and it's not what I expected when I first got into it, to be perfectly honest. When I first started, I was doing HPDE with GRIDLIFE. Actually, that's how I got into it. And I was looking at times that back then, and I'm like, well, I'm not too far off. I might as well jump into the time attack part of it. And then you realize real quick, it's like, hey, it doesn't cost a whole lot to get your car prepped and on the track and in the mix. But it costs a whole lot to get to that top 50%, the top 20%. And then you realize it's going to double and everything to do that last 1%. Like, it's blowing my mind, right? Because we're not talking specific gear ratios, custom gear ratios that we have to do. How can we modify the car to reduce drag in just the right way while being within the rules? And then you still have the goofball behind the wheel and the amount of improvement that I've got to do. So maybe the car is 100% competitive as best as it can be, but the driver needs to be perfect also when you're going up against Mario and Evan and Peter and Jeremy. I mean, Stan and everybody in that top group, all the way down, is just unreal.
Let's talk a little bit more about the MX-5 and the NC in particular as a chassis in this category, because you brought up, some of the other players in here in Integras and Jeremy's FRS and Mario's Civic. The MX-5, it's known for its balance and its lightweight and all these things, but for the most part, these cars, save for the FRS, are much older, so they don't necessarily have as much weight to start with. How do you feel like your car is as far as a mousetrap for the category? I mean, everyone's trying to find ways to improve. You mentioned the drag thing, which I know the NC Miata is not a particularly slippery car in comparison to other things like, not in this category, but a C5 like we've seen in GLTC. So, like, how do you pick which thing to tackle next? Is it weight? Is it aero? Is it power? What's kind of been your what's the word I'm looking for?
Mythology?
Why is this so hard to say? Methodology.
I know, you got me broken
Methodology. Now. That's the word I'm looking for. Man, I guess I got to save up all my words for the weekend, Mike. But how do you approach it? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, so it's the Miata, right?
Yeah.
And this seems to be the only racing category where the Miata isn't ubiquitous. It's kind of crazy. Because on paper, it feels like it should fit the class perfectly. So the place that we first started was the NC chassis is stiffer than the NA NB chassis, and the reality is when you're looking at a 2550 weight requirement for something that is engine swapped, right, the NC has no problem getting to that. So I get a stiffer chassis and I can hit minimum weight no problem, even with a 220 pound driver in it. So that's where we started. Strip everything out, run the right wheels and tires. Aero was actually the first thing outside of the K-swap. So I'll wind it back. We started doing this with the 2.5 liter that everybody swaps into NC Miatas, the Ford 2.5 liter. That engine just doesn't have what it takes. It can't make the power with stock cams. I was stuck at around 170 horsepower. And so that was obviously the biggest glaring issue. And we had some good success at Laguna Seca in 2023. And that's actually probably the biggest mistake I've made financially, is going out there and doing that and having a little bit of an ego boost. Because I was like, man, maybe we really could do this, right? Uh, but once you get the K series in there, you don't have that excuse anymore. The chassis isn't the excuse. It's lightweight, it's stiff. The aero is good for the car. The one thing that it does have is there's some significant drag because of the shape of the hard top, right? We don't have a fastback style. And now, it's really small things. We're talking about percentage points, basically, to try and get this thing to fight with them. And every single time I think I have fixed the gap, it turns out there's another one, right? So we got the engine. Now we're quicker. We're as light as we can go. I weighed in at 25.58 at Mid-Ohio. Now it's either drag or gearing, right? I need to improve on, right? So my top speed on long tracks is frankly not competitive right now. And that might be my exit speed out of the corners. But I'd rather blame the car than blame myself. So we're going to call it drag or gearing, something along those lines.
Interesting. I was just looking at the results here, which is a little widget I was building mostly for myself.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Which I know
cool.
I was trying to show it on the screen for everyone watching at home, but gridlife-results.netlify.app if you want to see what I'm doing here. And again, it's not perfect, but is it generally correct that you've run 6 different tracks with Gingerman being 2 different events, and these times are all here? I just want to make sure it's working.
Yeah. For the most part, this is correct. So some of these are with the Road America one. We did a 2:33 last year. I think that put us in like 7th place or something when we were testing. But other than that, it's accurate. It's a question of, was it with the 2.5 liter or the K24?
Right.
So the rev up was with the 2.5 liter, and then Gingerman Raceway this year was the 38.7. And then Laguna Seca was the 140, and that was the first podium sprint event. And you'll see NA on there in podium sprint. That's because I choked on my very first opportunity and went 4 off. So the nerves got to me.
I'm definitely curious about your thoughts on the format here, because coming in from HPDE, there are some people that are definitely super passionate about time attack and like it has to be this way and purity, and then there's other people that are like, hey, this should be for entertainment, this is for our enjoyment, and Grid Life's like a spectator thing. You've run both. Do you have thoughts and opinions on the formats, or maybe even advice on how we could do things different? I'm always curious what drivers think.
Well, I look at it in 2 ways. I actually love the podium sprint, both from a spectator and a competitor. Podium sprint for me is it's being able to get into the show, if you will, take it to that next level. And there's a lot of excitement. And like I say, nerves that come with it. I mean, the 4 off on the first time was literally down to nerves. And I think that's a cool feeling, and it's a comfort zone level thing that any competitor should get an opportunity to be used to being uncomfortable. And so it really stretches you that way. And it makes it less, it doesn't necessarily just feel like luck. I can't just luck out in the weekend, run one good lap and call it a day, right? On the flip side of that, it's a stressor. And when you've busted your butt all weekend long and think you've done the best you can, well, if you've been lucky enough to get into the podium sprint, now you have to, put the shoes on, put the driver's suit on, and focus again when everybody else is packing up and getting ready to go home. So from that part, it's interesting, but I actually like it.
Yeah, I think there's a story in here too. There's some people in the comments that were mentioning, like, your talent as a driver in the last handful of years, the last 3 years of competition, because it's easy to say, hey, I threw the K24 in it, and we made some improvements, and I found a couple percent here, a couple percent there, but a couple of these tracks you've been to a number of times in a row, Mid-Ohio, Gingerman, maybe not Autobahn, but just back to back a couple of years in a row. How much have you improved it as a driver, and what tools have you used to sort of improve your own driving with data or video or that sort of thing?
I mean, so I'm working with Scott Robertson now from a driver coaching perspective, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing that. and its leaps and bounds help me because you can think of your own solutions, right? But when you have a third party who's not biased and doesn't have your ego involved, they can see things that you're not picking up on, right? I'm limited within my own experience, within my own scope, and so somebody else like that, especially Scott, he's really good at taking the concept and putting into words that even a simpleton can understand, right? And something to work on. So that's a huge thing for me, and that's helped improve a lot. I've gone through Red Speed Secrets, from Ross Bentley twice. I watch YouTube videos, really focused a lot on learning the G circle, right? So learning about car control in that way. And then frankly, sim racing's been huge. And just watching YouTube videos of the fast guys, like Club TR is interesting. It's probably the most competitive group of people that I've ever been around, pulling from across the country, but they're also the most helpful. It's a weird thing having the competitor who needs you to not score points underneath your car, helping you fix it and showing you data, right? And breaking down approaches to corners. That's all huge. And just watching their videos on how they approach things, you can see that mile an hour difference. And maybe that gives you the courage to try it on the next time out, right? So it's down to video. We have more access to that than ever with aim data, with Track Addict, just whatever you want to be using and breaking it down. It's been a huge role, but
I don't want to mess this up, but I think you mentioned something that I think Dewey would really, really like. We had Dewey on last week. He's one of the most passionate people in the time attack world. Yeah, I think it was something about like covet the lap time of your competitors as much as thine own, or something like that. And which I think it's a great thing that you described. I've heard Darrell Waltrip call it co-opetition, where you're cooperating, you're helping out your buddies, but you're also racing against them. And I think that's what makes Grid Life kind of a special place, because things get intense out there. You guys are fighting tooth and nail for to be P1 and to be on the top step and to take home records and trophies. But you hope that the culture is that like I took my car out to Honda Meet last week. And I don't drive very much, but it was I was a little bit nervous I was going to break something, but I was like, you know what, like I'm fine, like they'll all help me fix it, right? And I think that's a really cool piece of it, especially when you're in a competitive environment. So that's got to be fun too. But do you face any challenges? Like, do you have any issues where like you break something and you can't find a part for it because people aren't running that chassis a lot? You mentioned that the NC or the Miata in general isn't really a well-subscribed chassis in the Grid Life universe, beyond maybe some GLTC cars.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. The NC went through a thing where the only people that were running it for a long time were the MX5 Cup guys, right? And they are to a very strict rule set. There's not a whole lot of modification. I haven't run into it a whole lot. Miata parts are still relatively available, and a lot of them from OEM were Ford parts as well, right? So that part helps quite a bit. And there's enough folks, like I blew a power steering pump. I've blown 4 of them, but I blew one at Mid-Ohio, and John Grimm was right behind me, and I walked over and asked him if he had a power steering pump, and boom, there it is. So that saved the weekend. That part is lucky about the car. It's not to the same degree that the NA and MB was, but it's still not an exotic vehicle, and right. Now there's a K series in it, and those are everywhere also. So right,
yeah, I guess it probably a cold day downstairs when the Miatas are exotic vehicles at a racetrack, but for sure. Let's talk about the racetracks that you've been to. Looking at the ones I've got on the list here: Autobahn, Gingerman, Road Atlanta, Mid Ohio, Road America, and Laguna Seca. And I'm sure there's plenty of others that aren't on this list, whether it be with another org or whether it be before this. But what are the racetracks that you really feel like you excel at? Is there one in particular that you sort of look forward to and circle on the calendar?
Road America is actually one of those because I always am close by to it, and it's not good for our cars whatsoever, but there's an aspect of danger and high speed and big commitment on a lot of the corners that I really like. But Mid Ohio is the other one that I look forward to every single year. It's probably the only track that I'm going to be willing to make a 14-hour drive to every single year to try and get to. It's a terrible drive. Frankly, I got to go through Chicago. I got to go through Gary, Indiana.
Oh boy.
It's rough.
Yeah. Yeah, Chicago, man, terrible. I'm just kidding. I'm right there right now, Mike. It is terrible. Don't worry. I understand.
When I'm going through it. Yeah.
I'm just stoked I get to go home at like 8:30 tonight and I don't have to deal with the traffic anymore. So thanks for keeping
That
me
is
here.
nice. You're welcome. I'm glad I texted you. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the track though that I absolutely love it. It's the mix of high speed with a lot of technicality to it, and the elevation changes are incredible. I've been there twice, but I'm going to keep going back to it. My goal every year is to try at least one track that I haven't been to, whether it's a bucket list or it's just something that people have highlighted as a really cool place. But Mid-Ohio is one that whenever I can swing it, as long as, the stars align, and I don't have something too drastic pulling me away, I'm going to get to Mid-Ohio.
So I know it's far, but I see one on here that feels like it'd be up your alley, and that's Lime Rock Park.
That is a bucket list.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got to try it.
No ticket yet for this year?
No ticket yet.
Okay.
Not this year, but for 2026, that's going to be one of them. Road Atlanta was the big travel one.
Yep.
For this year. Last year it was last year I didn't do a big travel one. The year before that was Laguna. This year was Road Atlanta. Next year I really do want to make it Lime Rock. I hear amazing things about it. Seems like it'd be great for the car. Historic. So
yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. And I think the other one that is not on our calendar anymore, that's an East Coast track, is Watkins Glen. We only got one crack at that place, but I feel like we never really got a fair shake at that because of the weather conditions. No. And I know it's a big place for something like a Club TR car, but it also has really high corner speeds, which I just think would be so fun in a Club TR car. So we got to go back there sometime when it's not raining, because I think it'd be a real dogfight out there. It'd be cool.
I think you're right. I've got buddies that have that on their bucket list. Absolutely want to go out. So if it does come back on the calendar, that is probably one that we'll make it out to. We were gonna do it when you guys went the last time and kind of backed out last minute, and I'm sort of glad, because it didn't look like I'd bring the car home.
No, it was a tough weekend. Honestly, the attrition rate was not crazy considering the circumstances, but 48 car GLTC field there, and that was real nerve wracking for the weekend. So, all right, so we talked about your favorite track. Let's talk a little bit more about the car. And is there anything that's like planned that you haven't done yet? That you're maybe looking at doing, or you're going to evaluate after Road America?
Yeah, gearing is going to be a big thing. So it's still a 5-speed right now. I've stuck with the 5-speed because the 6 speeds in these cars are kind of glass cannons. Mm-hmm. And so I've stuck with the 5-speed. And up to this point, frankly, I couldn't tell that it was a limiting factor. I put a 512 final drive ratio in the rear end, and I was hoping that was, with the K series, that was going to keep me high enough in the rev range, but I'm just running out of gas up top. So we're either going to go to a custom gear ratio on the 5-speed, or I'm just going to get real used to buying 6 speeds and bringing an extra to the track.
Oh, that does not sound fun, Mike. Why don't you figure something out with the 5-speed? Oh, man. Yeah, okay. So, one of the most interesting conversations I had with Dewey last time out was in the time attack sphere, all the wacky things that get done to find speed. Is there anything on your car that you've had to, hodgepodge together, or, glue the windshield on with hot glue, or, anything that's, real silly? Or is your car pretty standard? It seems like you take great pride in how it's presented, but maybe under the surface there's some, JB Weld and a self-tapper.
I do love the way it looks. I'm a garage mechanic. I've learned things from my buddies who've been willing to hang out with me and show me what to do and what not to do, and then I've broken things and learned the hard way a lot. So most of what I do is bolt on and pretty standard stuff. I'll leave the R&D things to other folks. That's another way I'm different than AJ. I don't have those skills.
Yeah.
I guess the most creative aspect of it is actually the under tray that I work with right now, or that I've used. I've cut it up, did some 3D printing. I've been getting into 3D printing quite a bit. That's helped me solve some problems, and it was pushing a lot of pressure. The way that the front bumper is oriented to the radiator, it sits at a higher angle, and so the splitter wants to come down underneath, but you've got an aluminum under tray that is coming at a different angle on it, and it was pressing down and bowing it out, putting a lot of stress on it. So, I've hobbled together. I cut it in half, did some 3D printing, made a silly bracket. To me, it was really cool, and to anybody else, it looks like an L bracket. They're probably like, great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Hans Horbital, there's a great question here. Says, it takes a village. Who's on Team Bryant? Who comes with you? Who helps you out?
We've got a bunch of folks that are coming to Road America specifically because it's one of the closer ones. But my buddy Ian Flavin and I and Nathan Paulson, we are always going to the track together. Those two are the ones that introduced me to the GRIDLIFE idea. They brought, Road America was the first HPDE we did with GRIDLIFE, and that was really because of them. And then my buddy Chris Kostoris is another one who I'm still trying to pull into the sphere of GRIDLIFE. But he's always been super supportive at the track. He's the one that got me going to the track in the first place. And then I've got a friend, BJ Ragudo, who is always super supportive, and he is building a super cool car for GRIDLIFE. You want to talk about off the chain kind of stuff? He's building an Eclipse with a K24 in it. It's the Eclipse from the Too Fast, Too Furious model. The one that Tyrese drove.
Yeah.
It's not a convertible, but,
yeah.
But it's wild. So he's been instrumental in getting all this put together. But man, and I'm missing out on people. Heck, Stan Faingold's team, the guys that come with him, we were laughing because they were helping me more at Gingerman than they're helping him because I'm an idiot. Stuff is breaking constantly. And they're over there helping me out. So, like he said, it takes a village.
Stan cracks me up because I think it was last year at Midwest Festival. I had my FRS out there, and he's K-swapped, but still has, I guess, the stock throttle body in his car. And he thought he was having throttle body issues, so he was asking around if anybody had anything. And my car just sits in the field all week. So I said, hey, you can go grab the one off my FRS and throw it on there, right? And I had moved to a new apartment in Chicago, and he tried out the throttle body, and it didn't end up being that problem. But he bolted it back in. He's like, hey, man, you got some rodent damage in here. They're chewing through your AC condenser wires, and it looks like it's about to fall apart. Just a heads up. And so, lo and behold, I go back there and take a look, and it looks like it's about to fall apart. I have not addressed that. They did finally chew all the way through it, and my FRS has no AC right now. So he alerted me 6 months in advance that was going to be a problem, and I did nothing about it. So I guess that's how good I am.
That's just step one to making it a race car now.
My
car had no AC. I flew down to Atlanta to buy it for $4,500 because it didn't have AC, and that's not livable in Atlanta. So there you go.
Not in Chicago either. Yeah,
race car.
Trip goes ew. Yeah, it's not pleasant. Just next step is a roll cage, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's always a blast with how many people help out and make it all possible. So. All right, so this weekend, 3 days coming up. You probably got a boogie out tomorrow, right? So you got tomorrow or Thursday?
Yeah, we'll pack up to tomorrow night, and then we'll head out Thursday morning. 5-hour trip is relatively easy. That's just getting started for everything else that we've done this year. So
awesome. Well, before we turn you loose, I want to give you a chance to, obviously it takes a village of people, but also race cars are expensive. Is there anyone that helps you out on the parts and pieces side or makes it possible for your program to exist?
Yeah, absolutely. So Apex Wheels came on as a partner this year, which has been incredible. I've loved their stuff since my BMW. I was running Apex Wheels as the street car. Went to theirs as when I first started putting it on the track, and as soon as I saw that they had something I could throw on the NC, I switched over to them to their 10-inch wheels. And now they've come on, provided a set of wheels, and so I've got something for rain and for dry, which is a huge stressor off my shoulders. Race bred components has been incredible. I have quite a few offs. I go through a lot of splitters. I go through a lot of splitter uprights. I am not handy, so it's great to have them in the corner. And Kazaspec Engineering and K-Power were both phenomenal partners. K-Power, like I said, they threw the K24 in the car in a week to get it ready for Road America. That was a big goal of mine for last year, and they came through. And Kazaspec did basically a home delivery for me for the carbon fiber airfoil that's on the back of the car back at Laguna. Made that happen, and it's just been awesome. So they're great partners.
I think it was Jim Smith said, "What's up with the NC guys in 3D printing?" Is it?
We're cheap.
I mean, it seems like everyone's got to have a 3D printer around. There's probably so many. I can think of 40 million things on my car that I could fix with a 3D printer probably.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's weird how your brain starts to shift and think about, ways that 3D printing can solve everything. So
yeah,
it's the best. I don't have to pay a lot of money for parts, and because I don't, it's an NC. What are you going to do?
Amazing. Mike, thank you so much for your time, man. And again, thanks for reaching out. And we're going to keep having more Club TR drivers on here. We'll talk more Club TR all year long. But super appreciate your efforts and time. And we'll see you this weekend. Good luck to you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Mike Bryant, and then number 9, I just hit my funny bone so hard on this chair, and my hand is tingling. Ow, ow, ow. That stung so bad. Mike Bryant, number 94, Club TR MX5. Pleasure to have him on and chat with them, and it was really fun tonight to chat with two guys in very different categories with very different builds. But again, appreciate everyone's time coming on, and I want to take a moment and kind of go through some of the things that we should talk about before we head to Road America and do a little event preview here. I don't yet have an entry list yet because there's a couple things we got to tidy up on the data side first. But let's quickly just run down the standings for IBOC GLTC because that is going to be pretty fun. We've got Tom O'Gorman joining us on the broadcast this weekend, if you guys missed that from last week. So Tomo is going to be on for Track Battle, GLTC, Rush, and GLGT. We'll probably bring in Ito Waxman a little bit again as well for Time Attack, so really excited about that. Maybe give myself a little break. But GLTC, we go into the weekend with Baton Rosenberg leading Eric Catil by 9 points. Now, this is calculating drops now for a handful of drivers that have run all 4 rounds so far. So if you don't factor in the drops, I think Catil's still leading, but once you factor in the drops for Matan, it puts him up by 9 points. Not very much. Eric Magnuson has been on a wicked charge as of late. His last 8 finishes, his last 12 finishes have been, actually all of his finishes have been inside the top 10. That is a crazy ratio. Is that right? Eric Magnuson? Maybe. Oh, no, there's one. Race 4 at CMP, he had a 28th, but other than that, his last 8 finishes, first, 6th, 5th, 1st, 2nd, 7th for Eric Magnuson. So he's on a wild charge. And then it's over 100 points back to find James Cathers, Tony Marchev, Matt Waldbaum, Gary Wimble, and more. So points are going to be a real dogfight again this weekend. I think we have to keep an eye. I think Neil Tabb's showing back up at Road America. And he won a race in a brand new build at Mid-Ohio and finished top 5 in all of the 4 races there. So that should be a lot of fun. Eric Jensen is back. He's P12 in the standings. So that's something to keep an eye on. We should see Austin Hurdle there, too, I think. And Austin had a really good, strong start when he came to Road Atlanta as well. In the track battle stuff, switch on over to that championship. Boys, Club SC is a real dogfight. 5 points between Mike Jansen and Chris Rice. Again, now we are going to be starting to calculate drops because we're 4 rounds in. So after this round, we'll start doing that. But 5 points between Jansen and Rice, and then another 5 points back to Sam Dooling, who I believe is he might be missing Road America. He thought he was going to a wedding or something. He's going to try to make it. You guys all laughed at me for smacking my funny bone? Oh, boy. All right, so that's Club SC with Jansen and Chris Rice by 5 points. Club TR is 14 points to Maroney's advantage. He's coming in with a really strong advantage over Jeremy Bailey, but Bailey is on a trajectory to retake the points lead. Is he running this weekend, though? That's an interesting question. Let's find out. If anyone has any questions specifically about what's going on this weekend or the broadcast or anything in particular, I'd be happy to try to answer. Whoops, that's the wrong button. I want check-in. Let's see here. Jeremy. Oh, yeah, Jeremy Bailey will be there. Good stuff. So Jeremy Bailey currently second in the standings. Evan McLaren gaining ground as well with a win and a record at Mid-Ohio, so that should be fun. Jeremy is going to be there. Thanks, Dewey. We're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes, but just going back through the rest of the championship standings here. Street class, it's been a blowout so far. Josh Hulka 94 to Willem Dries 63. So P3 is a fight, though, between the Elantra that Dries has and John Laughlin in the Honda Civic Type R. That's 61 points to Dries' 63. Street GT is a 10-point advantage, Ryan Matthews over Luke McGrew. So that will be fun to watch. Street Mod, this is a fun one. Dewey DeWitt, 10 points over Ryan Matthews. Again, Matthews pulling double duty. And also a little bit of a update here. Jamie Santos is back in competition. He's third coming into the weekend in Street Mod. Track Mod, 5 points between Alan Patton and Justin Peachy. I don't know if Patton was planning on it. I thought he had a conflict as well, but he is confirmed coming in 2 categories, both GLGT and Time Attack. I'm not sure if they're still bringing the Supra, but Alan Patton double duty, Justin Peachy in second by 5 points, and then an unlimited 2 points between Bertulis and Ernestus Pizzella. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch in the unlimited class. Good stuff. And I think that's going to be a show for tonight. Alan won't be there, says Dewey. Well, he's got tickets. He's just worried he's going to get Jackie dinged again, probably. Wrong category, but he's got tickets. I see him, but he's not going to be there. So maybe he's getting rid of them or has already sold them. But I have GLGT and Time Attack showing. So maybe I just let the secret loose. Maybe Spaz. I don't know. Maybe his tickets didn't sell. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap things up here because it's race week, so we're going to have a lot more on the back end of this one. We're going to watch some live stream clips next week. We're going to go over some of the big moments. We're going to go over the point standings. So a little bit more of the show next week. It'll be closer to a 90-minute show from here on out post-event. So lots to look forward to. Look forward to entry lists pop up in the next day or so. And again, if you have not already gone to the YouTube links, make sure you go and like them and hit the bell so you can be notified when we go live this weekend. And we'll be live all day Friday as well. We'll be kicking things off Friday morning, so we're going to try to get as many sessions as we can, including session number 1. So it'll be a good show. We're going to have a lot of cameras there at Road America. It's a big place, but Project Prime putting in a lot of effort. So I'm really excited for it to have Tomo back too. Should be good fun. I love Road America. I love Summer Apex. This is going to be a blast. SummerApex.com for more information and grid.life for the rest of it. But that's going to wrap our show for tonight. And we will see you next week for the next episode of the Grid Life Drivers Meeting show. Thanks, Amaris, for hanging out, and good morning to you over there in Indonesia. We'll see you this weekend. And have a good night, everybody. I'm going to drive home and eat dinner now after just getting back from another trip the other night. So going to be a long week, but it's going to be a fun one at the National Park of Speed. And we'll see you all next week. Have a good one, guys.